Hello and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. And I just completely fucked up the intro because I didn't do the zombie thing, but it's okay. This is Rantzerker number 60. If my co-hosts insist, I will go through the zombie.
No.
Zombies. The last. It's great. I just did it for you.
Okay, all right. Zombies. They're there. They're out there in the muddy radioactive wasteland. Okay. So, just as an update on the the pre-trial hearing, it happened. I can't disclose much of anything, but what I will be disclosing, I will be doing at tonight on the radio show. So stay tuned to this Badger channel, same Badger channel, same Badger. Well, not the same Badger time because it's going to be in the evening, but whatever. So expect your update then. And today we are reviewing Poptrigger. Being a woman costs way more than being a man. I guess except when it comes to car insurance, since men can legally be discriminated against in that instance, but not health insurance, even though women cost more.
I think they actually eliminated that in the UK. They actually made it illegal for car insurance companies to discriminate based on gender. I don't know if Mike knows anything about that because I don't think that Mike is I don't think he's a driver, so I don't think he really cares or would know. But I'm pretty sure there was a law or a policy that was implemented that prevented auto insurance companies from doing that about 3 years ago in the UK. And all of the women were pissed off about it. All of the feminists were like, "How dare you? How dare you implement and level the playing field between men and women in a way that disadvantages us compared to where we were?" So yeah.
All right, let's get this started. So can you guys see this?
I can see it. It's not full screen yet, but I can see it.
Yeah, same here.
Being a woman costs a lot more than being a man. This is according to a new study from the New York City Department of Consumer Affairs.
It decided to do something really interesting this time. I'll just put that back to the beginning. Okay, how is that? Is it good?
Yes.
All right, let's start this thing.
Being a woman costs a lot more than being a man. This is according to a new study from the New York City Department of Consumer Affairs, and they found that the reality of gender pricing will follow a girl or woman throughout her entire life. So, for example,
I just wanted to interject here. If being a girl costs more than being a boy, would that not suggest that parents are willing to spend more money on their girls than they are on their boys?
I guess so. I mean, to be honest, when I look at this stuff, and I guess we can get into it when we finish looking through all of their evidence. Incidentally, in the comments of this video, it says that some people have shown actual pictures from Walmart indicating that the red scooter is not actually more expensive than the pink scooter. But regardless, let's see what their examples are.
Santa brings better gifts to rich kids.
Yeah, I know.
See, it's more expensive to be a woman, but who pays for it?
Yeah, no.
Who pays for her to be a woman? Hey, it's a man, isn't it? Sometimes.
When my kids were getting their presents at Christmas, they were getting like jeans and like a Game Boy game, and when their rich classmates were getting their presents, they were getting trips to Disney World. It's just more expensive to be a rich kid.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was listening to this. It's like aristocrats saying our clothing costs more than the peasants' clothing. But let's look at the examples. Let's get through that, because yeah.
Examples. This is two identical, equal, same scooter, a Radio Flyer scooter. The boys red, $24.99. The girls pink, $49.99.
No,
okay? There's
no. The red one is the unisex one. The red one is the one that has the original Radio Flyer colors that all of the radio flyer stuff was red and white. It always has been, right from the fucking very beginning, right from the time it was just a little red wagon, right? That's what it is, red and white, right? The pink one is a girl's scooter, right? The red one is a unisex scooter. And the pink one is therefore a specialty item.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're potentially going to have twice the customers for a non-specialty, the unisex item, of course the specialty item is going to be more expensive because there are going to be, one, fewer customers, and two, it's going to be off-model. Like, it doesn't. This is not charging girls more. It's charging girls more for something that's a premium. Like, it's anyway.
Yeah, no,
back to
the cost per unit is higher.
The female Thor comic may not be worth dog shit in this day and age, but come back in 50 years when there's only one copy left in the world, it'll be pretty expensive.
Well, it's essentially two, right? I mean, like, most parents who are going to buy their kid a radio flyer scooter, right, as opposed to any of the other scooters out there, or a radio flyer tricycle, or whatever, right, as opposed to any of the other ones, the Norco and the, all of the other ones, is because you have that sense of nostalgia. And part of that nostalgia is going to be for the red and white. I mean, you grew up with that. You grew up with your red and white wagon, and like Calvin and Hobbes, you freaking, took rides down long hills in the woods and, got your face barked by a tree, right? When you crashed, right? That's why you so even parents of girls are probably more likely to buy the red scooter than they are to buy the pink one.
So yeah, it's essentially you got a smaller market, and you got a smaller market for something that you have to change some of the features. Like, this isn't a simple cosmetic change. You would have to use a completely different material for the pink, because I'm assuming that this is not it's not painting. It's actually a different color plastic.
Yeah, it looks like plastic. And also, if you look at the foot pad, right? The printing on the foot pad is slightly different. I mean, like, it is a specialty item. It's going to be made in smaller quantities than the original, the one that is the nostalgia item, the classic that most people are going to want to buy, and that's why they pick radio flyers, because they want that sort of classic, nostalgic thing.
This is like looking at Bratz dolls in a toy store and comparing them to those collector figurines that you get in comic book stores, and saying, wow, they discriminate against men who want to buy collector figurines. Bullshit.
Yeah.
You want a limited edition, something that's off model, that's unique to a particular demographic and has a much smaller customer base. You're going to pay for it. All right.
Okay. There's two equal uniform T-shirts. Okay.
They're not equal. They're not
equal.
I went into this in depth on my ad, but as somebody who has sewed many, 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 many garments, I'm looking at these two shirts, and I can tell you that I would have to spend at least an hour more on the woman's shirt than on the man's shirt, even using a serger, and something that has an automatic buttonhole function and things like that. You just spend way more. There's more buttons on it. The front panel is longer on the woman's shirt. The collar is different. The shoulders are different. The sleeves are different. And you can sort of tell that the actual the side seams are not 100% straight on the woman's shirt. They are slightly tailored, right? And all of that is going to take a little bit more time. And meanwhile, the woman reads out $5.47 for $12.95 for the woman's shirt, so she special price for the men's and the men's shirt. Oh, and also, I wasn't able to check because they don't leave any bar, but it looks to me like it may be that this shirt this men's shirt is only available in one color, whereas the woman's shirt is available in multiple colors, which also increases the price.
Okay, so we have 3 premium aspects to the women's shirt. 1, the sleeves are curved, not straight. That is going to increase the cost because it increases the time of manufacture. The the panels are not straight; they are actually tailored, which is also going to increase the amount of manufacture. The buttons, I believe the female shirt has 2 buttons, and they go lower, again increasing. And this is only
3 buttons. It has 3 buttons. One of them is open, and the men's has 2 buttons. One of them is open.
Okay, so this is an addition of buttons, which increases the amount of manufacture time, and it's only because it gives her the option of unbuttoning to her cleavage. So this is another specialty item. This is another situation where the aristocrats are huffing and saying that their clothes cost more. Well, yes, they do, because you're asking for special features.
At least compared to the other. Like the other is like super simple. It would be like that would be an hour and a half of work for me. Once the cutting was done, and the cutting is usually done sort of very automated, but the stitching and all of that stuff has to be done by people. But once the stitching started, it'd be an hour and a half, and that shirt would be made even just on a machine that I have at home, whereas it'd be closer to 3 hours for the woman's shirt. And I mean, like, even the curved hem of these sleeves on the woman's shirt, that requires a great deal more care in terms of like how fast you can stitch and all of that, because you have to you're not going 100% along the grain or cross grain. You're actually if you stitch it wrong, you introduce all kinds of wonky stuff, right? So, yeah.
Okay, so what we have here is we've got 2 options.
Company.
Actually, with this shirt, we have 2 options for women, because women can wear the men's shirt and no one will comment on it. No one will comment on it. So they can easily buy the men's shirt if they do not want the premium options in the feminine shirt. So once again, we have a bunch of aristocrats complaining that their clothing is more expensive, even though they're free to purchase clothing for peasants. And I'm not saying, necessarily that the aristocrat peasant analogy applies completely, but it applies in this instance. Let's continue. Unless, Mike, did you want to?
No, I'm just bewildered.
I'm bewildered too. I'm bewildered that this is their new way of explaining that women are victims. And I'm actually going to get into why I think they're focusing now on the cost of women's items versus men's items, even though that is completely erroneous. But let's finish.
$547. The woman's is $12.95. Then we have Levi's jeans. Men's $68. Women's Levi's jeans $88.
Okay, so first things first, men's jeans, straight up and down. Again, you're dealing with issues of a change in how the sewing is done. With women's jeans, you tend to have a bit more of a curve through the hips, so it's just going to be more expensive in order to accommodate the hips. And guess what? You can get straight up and down jeans for women that don't accommodate your hips. The only reason to accommodate your shape is to show it off.
Yeah. No, it really is. If you look at the amount of tailoring in both of these things, in each of these pairs of jeans, the women's jeans need to be more fitted. And on top of that, if you go into most stores, you'll find that the offerings in terms of numbers of styles are going to be higher for women, right? Like, so the company that makes the jeans is going to make maybe 10 different fits or styles or whatever of jeans for men, and then they'll do 25 for women. And again, because they are doing a larger number of styles but fewer pairs, fewer units of each style, the per unit cost goes up. I mean, men kind of want to all sort of be wearing the same uniform. They just want to wear 501s and a t-shirt, right? And so, I mean, like, they're not going to care if every other man in the room is wearing the exact same pair of jeans that they're wearing, right? Women are a little bit different. They want to wear. They don't want to be in a room with somebody's wearing essentially the exact same thing they're wearing. They want to be different, stand out. And so because of that, there's more design work that has to go into it. Women's fashion changes. So you will see this, the 501s for men, right? They're going to be the same 501s that they were, 30 years ago, right? Nobody had to redesign them. But you'll find that the styles, the 501s, 516s, 508s, 520s, whatever you want, however they designate their styles, right? For women are going to change through the years much more. Like they'll need to be slightly redesigned, slightly tweaked to keep up with, the style of the times. Whether that's, are straight legs in style right now? Oh, maybe it's skinny jeans. Maybe it's, tapered jeans. Maybe it's bell bottoms, right? But they're going to be making those adjustments as styles change. More often for women than they are for men. So you have other costs in there that women impose by their preferences. And I mean, so like you can't, they're not the same fucking item. If Levi's 501s are the same now as they were in 1978, right? I guarantee you the women's 501 jeans are not the same item they were in 1978.
They've been redesigned multiple times, which is going to increase their cost.
These men's jeans are probably 100% cotton denim. These women's jeans are a cotton denim spandex blend.
All right, so what we're witnessing here is the aristocrats are saying that their fitted leggings are more expensive than the peasant trousers. Yeah, because they're fitted, and you can tell they're fitted, and they have to keep up with the styles, so they have to be redesigned. And you're going to have a multitude of styles, which means that they're not going to be able to sell as many in one single style. So they have to make up with the cost of production by increasing the cost. The more styles you get, the more expensive each individual style is going to be, because they know that they're going to sell however many of this, not men's 401, but unisex 501, because women can wear it too and nobody will comment on it. They're going to sell much more of that in volume than they are in the various fitted styles that women want to flatter their figures. So these are not comparable items in the slightest. Like I said.
You look at it too, right? Like the guy is probably not going to be overly concerned with, what his ass looks like in those jeans, that it's like super flattering for his ass. He's just going to be like, do I look decent, right? And she's going to be, when she tries, he's probably not even going to try the fucking jeans on when he buys them, because he's bought like 20 identical pairs over the last 30 years, right? And he knows. He just goes into the store, finds the size, and buys it, right? She's going to try on each and every one just to see, look in the mirror, see what her ass looks like in them, right? And all of that, right? So, I mean, like, it's a completely different fucking market. It's a completely different set of requirements in order to market jeans to men and jeans.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if
all of the shopkeepers are there for her, to help her out. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I have to wonder if at any point they're going to look at pantsuits, see what the most expensive pantsuit you can find is and how it compares with the most expensive men's suit you can find. And you'll find it's the opposite, because suits are generally made for the male frame, with the way the shoulders hang and the way it hangs over the chest and shit. It's specifically a male thing, and that's why there's more demand for tailor-made suits than there is for pantsuits.
Well, what I found hilarious was, when my boyfriend graduated with his engineering degree, and he had to, and of course he'd put on a little weight because he'd been living with me for a while and I was feeding him, and so he didn't fit into his old suit, and we were trying it on essentially the 2 days before his grad, and it was like, oh fuck, right? He can't even get his pants all the way up, right? So we had to go and we had to essentially buy him an entire outfit for his grad, and the suit was 400. We bought it from the cheap suit store, mind you, $450. The tie was $65. The shirt was $50. The shoes were $195. The belt was $40, right? And the socks were, I don't know, $8 a pair, right? And we bought a few pairs. And so essentially, we were looking at like, $800 fucking dollars to get him an outfit to wear to his graduation, right? I went and I bought my outfit. It was a beautiful pencil skirt, a really, really interesting beaded bustier, right? Some black nylons, right? Stockings, 2 pairs of heels, right? And 2 new bras. And that cost me $150.
Yeah, I'm guessing that women's formal wear is significantly cheaper, just judging from my own experience as well. Let's see what next. What nugget of gold they bring up next.
Also, Abercrombie and Fitch, their little logo T-shirt, the men's logo T-shirt, even though it's a lot more material and bigger, $30. The girls, smaller, same logo, $40. And
okay, let me just go back a sec because I want to see that. I think one of your criticisms that you had with the previous one, I think the women's T-shirt also comes in more colors. If you're just judging, and they don't indicate the additional features, of course, because that would screw up their argument, but just judging from the fact that you can see 3 different grays versus the unisex, not men, unisex T-shirt with just 1 black.
Yeah, so. And it comes in more colors. It's not the same logo. It's actually, it looks like it's a New York logo, so it would be sort of limited to one geographic
Okay, so area. This is actually really dishonest.
Yeah.
Like, this is actively dishonest.
You know what's hilarious, too, right? Is because, like, I have had to buy shirts, to get them printed with Honey Badger stuff on them and all of that. And generally when I go into one of those stores, I'll go into Blue Notes or something like that, which is a jeans and casual wear store, and I can find nice fitted T-shirts with V-necks, I prefer, right? But fitted T-shirts like this for like 2 for $16.
So it's basically just the logo and the fact that these logos are not comparable. This is going to be a specialty logo again, which is going to necessitate, because they know that they're not going to push as much with the NY logo than they are with the regular logo. So it's like these are not comparable items again. All right, let's see what else they have to say.
Logo, $40, and then even talk to like Toiletries, where you would have like VO5, like 3-in-1 for girls. That is $1.99. Boys or men's 3-in-1 from VO5, $1.29. And then they went over to seniors. They examined all the different products.
Wait, go back for a second.
There you go.
16 cents an ounce.
10 cents an ounce.
Okay. I just wanted to check that. But okay. And this is.
I noticed.
Their 2-in-1 is more expensive than men's 3-in-1. Because the 2-in-1 is shampoo and conditioner only, right? The 3-in-1 is actually a completely different product. You can use it as a body wash. So, in other words, probably the conditioner in it is not a huge thing. And girls,
how do you use something as shampoo, conditioner, and body wash?
My sons do that with Old Spice. Old Spice has 3-in-1 stuff. They come out smelling like my dad did when he shaved.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I noticed they cut off the bottom. Does this men's 3-in-1 actually contain however many essential vitamins, etc.? You can't just show this product and say, oh, the women's what if the women's has more actual stuff in it?
Yeah.
The formula is more careful. This is another situation where the aristocrats say, oh, our soap costs more. Well, yes.
It's more specialized. The VO5 2-in-1 is more specialized than the 3-in-1. Believe it or not, you would think, oh, well, the 3-in-1 is just much more useful or whatever, right? But except for the fact that, it's much more generic in terms of what you can use it for. It's not as highly specialized, and on top of that, you're going to be using more of it because you're going to be scrubbing your junk with it too, right? So.
All right, let's skedaddle.
And then they went over to seniors. They examined all the different products for seniors, and some of like the bladder control pads, it would be the equal price between men and women's, but the women's would have like a 52 count, and the men's would have
60.
Exactly. They would have more. No, they would have more. It'd be like a 75.
Okay, so essentially they're saying that women's bladder control pads were where there were fewer they would have the same amount but fewer, and I can already tell why. Once again, the guards for men are much more they're just basically just wadded whatever.
Yeah, they're utilitarian, and they're probably
utilitarian.
The ones for women are actually very, very differently shaped. They're probably thinner. And, so...
you can tell they're thinner already, just looking at the package.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not the same fucking product. I'm sorry. No, I'm willing to pay a premium for maxi pads that are super thin, that aren't going to show through my clothes, right? Okay? And if men are willing to, not willing to pay a premium for that, if they're willing to fucking
why would they?
That you can sort of see through your clothing, then, why should they pay the same amount?
We just got through looking at the pants. Men's pants are straight up and down. That you're not going to actually see this gigantic bulky diaper underneath the guy's underwear and pants because they don't form fit. So if you want bladder control pads that accommodate your form-fitting jeans, you're going to have to pay more because no doubt what's in those bladder control pads is much more expensive material because they need to make it as thin as possible, whereas the men's is just bulky. Because nobody's going to see it. You don't see old senior men in form-fitting clothes like you do senior women. It's as simple as that.
How easy is it to fit a catheter to the two different kinds of genital?
Okay.
Is it comparable here? I would imagine it's easier to fit to a penis than it is to fit to a vagina, right? And it's mostly the same thing.
It is. Yeah, okay. No, like an external catheter, not an internal one. Internal ones are harder for penises than for vaginas. But for one that slips over the outside of your genitals, is much easier to fit a catheter on a man, and then run the tube down his leg so it collects in the little ankle reservoir that
you need less apparatus when doing it with a man. Much the same with this, right?
Yes,
I mean, this must have been someone thinking if men had tampons and sanitary towels, I bet they'd cost less. Let's look at the closest thing we can find.
And it's not close at all. You can tell
they're gonna get the tampons too. They're gonna get tampons in a minute.
But it's not the same thing. The men's stuff is more bulky, and it's more bulky because men will wear that because they do not have form-fitting clothes. The women's stuff is obviously using much more of an advanced gel thing in order to absorb the liquid. You guys are dishonest.
Exactly. They would have more. No, they would have more. It'd be like a 75 count. Thoughts, 5 words or less.
Costs more, paid less. Bullshit!
And yet somehow you still hold 60% of America's wealth collective as women.
Fucking amazing.
How the fuck does that work? Costs more for you to survive, you get paid less, and somehow you hold 60% of the personal wealth in the United States.
Okay, and here's the other thing. I guess they're okay with the stereotype of the sassy black woman here.
Well, yeah, of course they are. I don't mind that stereotype, okay? It's a stereotype for a reason. Lots of black women are sassy,
Okay,
right?
but here, I mean, I don't know, it just sits wrong. I mean, they have the white woman, carefully going through all the evidence, and then the black woman just reacts emotionally. It just, that just sort of sits a little wrong. But whatever, it's okay. I mean,
Well, it doesn't
obviously,
fit their
Poptrigger is totally
agenda.
PC.
Doesn't
Just feel a little bit like Operation Get Behind the Darky, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, yeah, because, she's going to wag her finger and she's going to jiggle her head and she's going to say, "Oh, no, you didn't." And and all the white people can hide behind her.
Oh, okay, it costs more because,
Muscle.
and you know what? It's interesting that the aristocratic analogy sort of fits here too. Aristocratic, their soap, their food, their clothing, their accoutrements of life. Definitely for aristocrats, those would cost more, and definitely aristocrats generally made less because they weren't the one doing the labor. So,
Well,
I
they
guess
generated less productivity in terms of, measuring it by dollars. Um,
yeah.
the whole reason why they could make more money than the people who were doing the actual work is because they had control over how much those people get paid and could get a profit off of other people's labor, right?
Well, I don't know if they controlled how much they could get paid, but they could get a profit. It was called tithing. Somehow, the money that the middle class and the peasants made ended up in the aristocrats' pockets just by the process of osmosis. Government was involved somehow, a little voodoo dance. But the same thing is happening here. Yeah, women's stuff costs more because they can spend more on it, or they're willing to spend more on it. They're willing to spend more on premium goods because that's all you've shown here is that women's items are premium goods and the unisex items are not. Duh. And women are willing to spend more for premium goods, especially premium goods that make them feel feminine. But the paid less doesn't mean anything when you consider that women control at least as much spending, if not more, than men. It's fucking irrelevant. And this is where I think that they're coming from, because they know that this particular argument is coming down the pike. Women may not earn as much as men, but if they aren't earning as much men, but they're spending at least as much, if not more, then that doesn't suggest that, by definition, that doesn't suggest that women are oppressed. So they're trying to find something else to buttress that, I think, because they can see that argument coming out. And what they're using to buttress it is that women's items cost more. Well, so what? Because women control more spending and they control more spending that they don't earn. In other words, to spend $1, a woman only has to earn 77 cents. Well, it's probably even bigger than that. It's probably more like $1.25. She only has to earn 77 cents to control that. Well, Karen just said 60%. So to control $1.10. That I know I'm doing the math wrong, but I can't do it off the top of my head. She only has to earn 77, what a man earns, in order for him to control $1. Well, this is where, because they have more spending power, they can afford the items with a premium, the premium items. So all of it just help me out here.
Whose money are they spending to buy themselves these higher priced items? Right?
Yeah.
Who earned that money? Right?
Yeah, where is the earning gap going? Like where is that spending gap? How is it that women can spend more than they earn?
When 75% of the personal items in the U.S. are purchased by women, whoever is purchasing them, they're being purchased for women, right? I don't think that the earnings gap is the clear-cut issue that they wanna make it seem, right? Because obviously, if women are spending more or controlling more wealth, right, than men, but that both men and women spend more money on women than on men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So essentially costs more because you can afford a premium because you're not earning everything you spend. Bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like
True on
complaining.
tampons as
It's
well.
like complaining about how expensive diamonds are. You know why diamonds are so expensive? Because women really like them. I don't think it's just because they're shiny. I think it's a lot more complex than that.
Well,
But yeah, these things are always going to be expensive as long as there's a market value, and women put market value on these things.
well, diamonds have multiple industrial uses as well, and the primary reason why diamonds are as expensive as they are is because of De Beers. And they're, like every diamond that you might purchase is essentially filtered through this one monopoly that controls the entire market, and they stockpile and in order to keep the price inflated. So
Yeah, well, congratulations, ladies. You're single-handedly keeping a blood-soaked corporate monopoly in power. All right, let's. True on tampons alone. I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna react to it. I'm just gonna go.
Well, this sucks.
What's with this stupid fucking bullshit?
yeah,
Like this just really rubbing me the wrong fucking way. And incidentally, men don't use tampons. So how the hell did you compare tampons to anything?
no, but he's essentially saying, and women have all these other expenses too that men don't even have, right? And
This is what you're making new victimhood out of?
yeah.
God, this sucks.
Yeah, so you're just
Really? You really think that fucking sucks? The fact that you have two options, one of which is more expensive than the other. Your threshold for victimization, for victimhood is so low. And it's frankly appalling.
Well, I mean, look at these two women and their hair, and how much money they've spent on their hair, right? And they have, versus this guy who probably paid like $17 for his last haircut. Runs a little peanut by DeWall or Wall over his beard every few days, right? And he might use moisturizer, maybe with sunscreen in it, and like Q-tips, and that's pretty much he's done. He's ready, right? And he's willing to go out in public with that hair and that face, and then you look at, what these women look like, and it's not just the hair, it's not just the makeup, it's the jewelry, right? You're literally, if neither of these women are gonna get on their back on a dirty highway shoulder, right, to get the jack fixed, situated underneath the proper part of the car and change their own fucking tire. But this guy, if he has the know-how to do it, he'd just take off his jacket and just fucking get to it. Because, he's wearing utilitarian clothes. He's wearing clothes that you can do physical work in, right? He could go work in a fucking field, working a plow or some shit in what he's wearing, right? These women, they couldn't fucking do that.
No, and it's as simple as that. You pay for stuff that's of a premium, that's higher quality, and not just higher quality, but has more design in it, more fashion, is not going to be moved at as high volume as other stuff. You're exactly right. Just comparing them. This guy's outfit was cheaper because it's not meant to. It's not meant to be a fashion statement. It's meant to make him
generic.
It's just generic. Let's.
now discovering it's not as cool to be a woman as it is to be a...
Oh fuck! Oh, I hate that smug, smarmy shit. Oh, it's not as cool to be you, ladies. I'm sitting over here. I'm sitting pretty. Yeah, fuck you, prick. This seems to be like the payoff for him.
I wonder if he could get away with wearing like pants that look like they're made out of leather, like this woman on the left.
Maybe if he's a rock star.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't think he would. I think you would get a shit ton of judgment if he was wearing anything. You know, the funny thing is that if they took off his clothes, if they changed clothes, not only would these two women be and why do they look? They all collectively look so fucking smug. But anyway, if he took off his clothes, if we exchanged the clothing and had him wear their clothes, he would get so much shit. He is not allowed to wear those clothes. He just gets the unisex clothes. But if they, and I'm saying it's unisex clothes, because if they wore his clothes, no one would remark. No one would make a single solitary statement about it. Not at all. So they have complete access to his cheaper wardrobe. But he does not have access to their wardrobe due to the sumptuary laws of the 21st century. So he is looking at a situation where they could easily be wearing exactly what he's wearing and paying exactly as much as he's paying for all of the things that he pays, but they choose not to because they have that choice, because it's beneficial to them to look fashionable and attractive and not look like they're just, I don't know, could roll into a goddamn labor job. You know, they look like they're more valued than you, guy. And they have the opportunity to wear clothing that makes them look more valued than you, guy. And you're saying, oh, it's shit to be a woman. Really? Really? I am fucking insulted that he can turn this situation into, oh, yeah, it's shit to be you, ladies. Really? How? I could wear what you're wearing, guy, and pay exactly what you pay for your fucking outfit, and I could wear what those two women are wearing if I wanted. How does that make me the victim? The fact that sumptuary laws are on your ass and not mine. And because sumptuary laws are on your ass and not mine, my clothing potentially is more expensive. And if you don't know what a sumptuary law, it was the law that the aristocrats passed, social norms that the aristocrats, cultures with aristocrats had, in which peasants and the middle class could not wear the more expensive clothing. And even though that's not a law in our society, it might as well be. Because I can tell you, if he was putting on that flowery blouse with some leather pants and those heels, he's going to get shit. That's why he doesn't do it.
He's not going to be able to get a job in any office, let alone any factory, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
The guy. Okay.
Sucks.
What sucks?
They're
You
just
have all the choices.
they're just saying it sucks because it really sucks.
You want to have premium choices and it pay the same as men. So you want to have more choices but pay the same as men for those additional choices that you have. Even though you have the choice to men's choices as well as your own. What the what the fuck is wrong with this world? What the fuck is wrong with this world?
They can't see it because it's just their way of thinking is like
all they can ever see is their own victimhood.
Yeah.
What a fucking, like this smug cunt, they don't even call him out for, oh, it sucks for you, ladies. Oh, yeah, thank God I'm not a woman. I'm going to make a prayer. And they won't call this smug cunt out for his bullshit, and they honestly believe this stuff. Unless they don't honestly believe this stuff, in which case they're con artists. And it's like, how can you live your life like this? So convinced of your own victimhood. Is that not fucking nightmarish?
Like, should I start buying all my face products, deodorant, shavers, everything from the men's department?
Yes, you should.
You
If
can't.
you don't want to pay for those ladies' fucking products, go and buy them from the men's department. Go buy that VO5 3-in-1 and use it and see what your hair looks like afterwards, because the conditioner content of that particular product is much lower than it is in the woman's product, and because it's made for guys who fucking go to the barber once a month, get a little off the top, and they don't have to fucking ever worry about split ends. They don't have to ever worry about that because their hair's not long, the hair's not dyed, the they don't have to blow dry it. You know, they don't use a flat iron. They don't apply heat to it. They don't apply massive amounts of styling products to it. So they don't need the massive amounts of fucking conditioner that you have to put in your hair to make it look like this, right? And so it's 90% fucking shampoo / body wash with a tiny little bit of conditioner thrown in so that they can fucking wash their entire body with it and not feel slimy afterwards. Okay, that is what that product is, because men don't give a shit about having perfectly styled shoulder length fucking flat iron fucking frosted tipped hair.
Yeah.
You do.
Like, this is unbelievable. It's like watching an aristocrat saying, well, why should I have to pay? Why should I have to pay for my regalia? Why should I pay more than a peasant? Look at trousers and jerkin. Like,
clothing is more expensive in the Gap than it is in a charity store. That doesn't mean the customers in the Gap are being oppressed. Now, the two kinds of it's you know, and yeah, it's the same. If you want cheaper products, then go to a slightly cheaper store, and if that's still too expensive, there's probably another cheaper store somewhere. It's supply and demand, and it just happens there's two kinds of people who demand better supplies: rich people and women.
It's not even a matter of better. I don't even think it's necessarily even a matter of better. I don't know that every single one of the products for women that are priced higher have higher manufacturing costs or higher per unit costs or you know, any of the, like, I don't know whether that's the case for every single item. But women are willing to spend more, and they're willing to spend more on their vanity. They're willing to spend more on their shampoo and their conditioner and all of that shit. You know what I do? I go to the fucking barber shop, a unisex barber shop. I pay $17 for my fucking hair to get cut, right? I don't pay for styling. I don't pay for products, right? I come home, take a shower, rinse all the little frickin' bits and pieces that itch like fuck off, right? Wash my hair with fucking Head and Shoulders, right? Get out. I don't even need to own a hairbrush, dude. Right?
Yeah,
when I travel, I don't even bring a comb.
I'm sort of in the same position. I'm in the same position as this guy is, except I'm not. He's not calling her out. Me and Karen are like the guy. We wear utilitarian shit, and we don't do a hell of a lot for our looks. Therefore,
I keep my fingernails filed down. I have a nail file. I have nail clippers and a nail file, and that's it. No nail polish, no fucking French tips, no nothing like that. I don't own any makeup anymore. I threw it all away because it had been 2 years since I'd last worn any of it.
And this is the thing. Not only does she want men to have to pay more so that she can pay less, she wants women like us to pay more so that she can pay less. For all of her vanity, which is optional.
Already, not only do individual products cost more, but there are whole categories of products that women have to buy, says society, and you
know. No,
basic fucking hygiene. Basic fucking hygiene. He's talking about tampons now. Basic fucking hygiene says that you have to deal with that. Okay? Now, here's the thing. You can be one of those women who buys tampons or buys pads, or you can be one of those women who invests a little bit more in a one-time purchase of a fucking Diva cup, right? And you deal with it that way. $16 fucking dollars or whatever it is to buy one, and you only ever need one.
Well, you should replace it every year, but it's very cheap. I mean, in my experience, it's useful. I mean, you do have to be a little strategic about the bathrooms you go to when you're out and about.
Public, yeah, because you don't want to walk out of there with, you know.
Yeah, no. But I mean, even if you do, like, it's not bad at all. But yeah, I mean, there's an option to do the Diva Cup, and furthermore, why are men being blamed for a female biological function? This is just a non-starter. It's just a complete fucking non-starter.
You know, the way you're built, I'm talking tampons here.
Jesus fucking Christ! You know that my
Okay,
husband
you
would have
guys
been
have
able to say that from the fucking beginning. Why did he have to dance around the goddamn point?
And gay guys have to buy lube. Oh my God, they're so oppressed, right? Okay, that a lot of straight people don't have to buy lube, don't have to own lube. There were years before I discovered the delights of backdoor enjoyment, right? Where I never owned lube. 10 decades of being sexually active and never owned lube. Okay. Oh well, but there's this one thing, right? That's yeah, and you gotta buy lube. Oh my God, I'm so oppressed.
Okay, just something that just occurred to me. Men who are not circumcised do not need to buy lube to masturbate.
Yep, never needed lube whatsoever. I have a foreskin.
So, because of the genital mutilation that this society practices on you, dude, you have to buy lubricant in order to masturbate, which is something that girls don't need either. Are we gonna talk about the lubricant gap?
Not every man who is circumcised needs lube. So
Well, but it's a significant number more circumcised men need lube than uncircumcised men. So there you go. Can we talk about the lube gap? The amount of lube that's purchased by circumcising nations that otherwise men would not need to purchase. However many dollars that is a year. And this isn't like dealing with a natural process, a bodily function that's going to happen whether or not, your society decides to shave off parts of your genitals or not. This is talking about something that is completely avoidable by just not putting knives into little boys' penises. And yet you know what? Sometimes, Karen, I just don't want to. I don't want to.
I really don't either. I mean, like it's honestly, it's like, and it's the same with birth control. Oh, and we have to buy birth control, and and I'm just like, okay, so what? Get over it, like fucking deal.
You have
with
no
or
complaints.
don't have sex.
Yes. Be a
This is why.
fucking adult.
This is why you can't compare communism with feminism, because at least with communism there's a relatively clear line between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Feminism, and I'm not just talking about feminism, I'm talking about whatever this is, has always been the fucking bourgeoisie talking like they're the proletariat.
Well, yeah.
We're so oppressed for having things better. Ugh.
Yeah, we're so oppressed for having options. We can have all the options. We're so oppressed for having all of the options, including premium options. That's so fucking oppressive. Does anybody ever stop and say, what the fuck? This is not what this brain break time.
And one of the things too, right, that I noticed is very different between sort of the male attitude and the female attitude about stuff like this, is that, like men will actually buy things that are more expensive when those more expensive things give the impression of status. Right, so they will buy the more expensive gadget. They'll buy the Pebble watch rather than a regular, $10 Timex from Walmart. They will buy, all of these sort of luxury items, and they know that they're luxury items, and they buy them because then they're like, yeah, no, I'm going to be able to walk around, show off my freaking latest thing that I got, right? And everybody's going to know that I'm doing great, right? Okay? And that's how they look at it. That's how men tend to look at it. I'm going to drive my fucking Lexus that I was just able to buy. It cost me an arm and a leg. But, I'm going to get a lot more people looking at me than when I was driving my little fucking Fiat or whatever, or Ford Festiva or whatever, right? They're going to buy a truck with dualies, right? And those are fucking like $57,000 fucking dollars for a fucking truck with dualies, and they're gonna drive that around, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, everybody knows exactly how much I spent on this truck. Oh yeah, right? And they're not gonna complain that they're oppressed by the fact that they bought a luxury item or a premium item, right, for that purpose in order to look like they could afford to do it, right?
Wait a second, Karen. Maybe we should encourage that. We're men's rights activists. All of you guys who can go out and buy a Porsche or a Lamborghini or whatever the fuck else, expensive cars, you should feel oppressed because you have that option.
Well, and that you're expected to pay more for it.
Well, yeah, you're expected to pay more for a car. Because the logic here completely fucking breaks down. Okay, what do we have to add to make this logic make sense? Women don't have to buy Lamborghinis or Porsches. Doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Women don't have to buy nail polish and French tips and manicures and, expensive hairstyles and makeup and expensive tailored clothing.
I'm trying to work through the logic here because men buying an expensive car is like women buying these expensive options. And women, in the context of this, women would be men. And this man doesn't even have access to the more expensive options because they're coded feminine. So he can't actually use them without significant social censure. So in the alternate analogy, we'd have to live in a society where women can't actually drive expensive cars because everybody will spit on them. But men are repressed because they have the option to. Because they'll get arrested and beaten. If a woman drives a Porsche, she'll be dragged. She'll be arrested for driving while female. If she's in an expensive car.
No, not arrested, but she'll be laughed at and pointed at and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And given that you had a fair amount to say about, I think that was that guy who was on the Young Turks talking about the transsexual bathroom business. If you're that fussed about transsexual rights, you want to talk about how hard it is for men to find, female presenting clothing compared with how difficult it is for women to find male presenting clothing. Trans rights. I'm being
honestly, although it's definitely easier, I think, to find high heels or any kind of woman's shoe in a size 10 or 11 than it is in a size 8.5. Just because so few women actually are size 10 or 11. But they still have to make them, right? But
okay, so it's more difficult to find because there's more people snapping them up.
There's more people buying the 8.5s.
Okay, I think this is a little bit off the. Let's pull it back.
Move on.
That men don't ever have to get. Right. And what's funny is like all the health and beauty products are trying.
Okay, I'm just gonna make a note. I really fucking hate the affectation of his voice. The sort of slurry bullshit. Like putting it on. Yeah, sorry?
Maybe he's drunk.
Yeah, maybe he is drunk or stoned or some shit.
I know that feel, bro. Power on.
To get guys to buy them, but in terms of like makeup, when I accompany my girlfriend to Sephora, I
love
lose
Sephora
my
though. I love me some
I
Sephora.
bought her this.
Okay, so
he's literally saying, "Oh, it's so awful that you guys have to buy this makeup," and she's like, "Oh, but I love to."
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! What the hell? That's twice in a row.
Anyhow, he's literally saying, "Oh my God, these cosmetics are so expensive, and I feel so bad for you guys having to buy them." And she's like, "Oh no! I love me some Sephora. I love going shopping there. I love being able to, look at stuff and maybe buy a couple of."
I demand that these things be supplied.
And then I'm going to complain that I get to buy them. Well, okay, so if you love me some Sephora, why don't you give a mind to think about this guy over there who can't buy it at all?
Well, he could buy it for his girlfriend, but and he probably does, but because he says he's accompanied her to that store. But it's the same fucking deal with the fucking Louis Vuitton handbags and shit, right? Where you have women who are willing to spend like $5,000 fucking dollars on a purse, right? And then they'll complain, number one, that, female clothing doesn't have pockets, and number two, that doesn't have useful pockets, and number two, that that means they have to carry a purse. Well, I'm sorry, if you were that fucking concerned about carrying a purse, right? You wouldn't be spending $5,000 on one, right? You wouldn't be spending $30 on a Louis Vuitton knockoff, right? No, you'd just buy men's jeans with their nice fucking deep pockets, or men's dress pants or whatever with their nice deep pockets.
But Karen, if you actually put anything in the men's jeans pocket, then you'll look fatter.
Yeah, no, and lumpy too. I mean, like, fuck, you should look at my boyfriend sometimes when he leaves for work. I'm just like embarrassed for him. It's like he literally looks like the Elephant Man from his hips to his mid thigh.
Yeah, but yeah, that's not fair. I mean, we should create new pockets for women.
They should
Allow
have
them
like
to carry stuff in.
a quantum teleporter in
Yeah,
them that actually it should-
TARDIS pockets.
they
We
should
need TARDIS
the
pockets.
ladies' pockets should have a quantum teleporter in them that actually zaps the items into an alternate dimension until they are needed. And
Yeah.
then that way they won't interfere with the way the clothes fit on your body and the way that looks, right, and shows off your curves, right? Oh yeah, no, you could have like completely unlumpy pockets, and they could be you could walk around with a fucking entire house worth of shit in them. It'd be
Yeah,
beautiful.
just as long as men just freaking bent the laws of physics, dude. Like, why haven't you done that?
Oribe Royal Blowout hair product.
Oh, it's the best.
Which is the best.
It is.
It's
the best.
$100 for like one thing.
It's the best.
Two words. Disheveling putty. I learned about it in a YouTube advert once, and it blew my mind, and it's never been unblown since then. Men have a thing called disheveling putty. You put it in your hair, and it makes it look disheveled.
Yeah, no, it makes
there's ridiculousness everywhere now, just saying.
Yeah,
Okay, so these aristocrats are complaining. They're complaining that they have more stuff for their appearance. Well, that's because you're aristocrats.
okay, but also the thing with the disheveling putty, okay? Think about what that is, right? It's essentially something that you put in your hair, and you don't have to put much in, and it's not really that expensive, generally, okay? This is their styling paste or whatever, right? You put it in your hair, you kind of rub it around, you yank at it a little bit with your fingers, you're ready to go out the door, right? And you look like you've been running your hands through your hair all day, or you've been out in the wind, or whatever, right? And so essentially, you look like you've been working. You look like you've been doing stuff, right? Whereas the women, they need a different kind of product because what they want to look like is that they haven't had to do a day's work in their entire fucking life. That's why they have those beautifully painted long nails, right? They don't have to type, they don't have to wash dishes, they don't have to be digging in the fucking garden. They don't
This is why aristocrats did it.
Yeah.
And I suppose I suppose
There's
it
a
doesn't
wasp
cost
in
anything.
here, so if I start screaming, don't worry. It's just the wasp.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I suppose it technically doesn't cost anything to develop the kind of big muscles that women traditionally like. It doesn't cost anything monetarily, but it takes a bloody long time and quite a lot of calories and quite a lot
It does
of money
cost
if you actually,
monetarily.
yeah,
It
if
does.
you go to the gym or whatever.
No, you go to a gym, you also have to eat certain types of food and be very careful about what you eat. And because you end up with a diet that's so bland, you generally compensate with really good cuts of meat, and so it is expensive. So,
Yeah,
you know,
I will second that. My boyfriend, he doesn't do this to be muscular or whatever, because he manages to do that all on his own, no matter what he was eating. But he does have to have a special diet that's actually very close to a traditional Paleolithic diet, or what you would use to put muscle on. Lots and lots of protein, and almost no carbs. And it's fucking expensive. I mean, like, what he eats for breakfast in the morning is like an apple and 3 chicken legs, right?
yeah, it's expensive, and it's like I said, the only way you can really dress up your food is by getting really, really good cuts of meat. So it gets even more expensive. It's not just the meat, it's that it's so, and people may be able to do it without actually having, but it's like if you get poor quality meat, it just makes everything just so much more unbearable.
Yeah, no, it's just it's really nasty. It took a long time for us to find things that we could consistently feed him that he would not get completely sick of within, because if you're having the same thing for breakfast every morning because you
You get
have to
sick
have
of it.
meat for breakfast, and I'm not getting up and fucking cooking a steak every morning for fucking, or a pork chop or something for breakfast. No, we need something that I can cook a bunch ahead of time and then take some out, put them in the microwave in the morning, right?
Fuck, this wasp is a little bit, it's like it coming down. But it seems to be entertained with the light, but okay, I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
Don't complain when the check comes and the guy's like, "Here, I want to pay for it." I think that's the least we could do is pay for all this stuff, and then there's tons of other stuff.
Oh my God, the
You
least
simpering.
pay
Oh.
for it all. Yeah, the least you can do is tithe to your fucking master.
Oh, it's just no, because he's getting that feeling of being more powerful. That's what he's enjoying, and gracious, and like it's noblesse largesse or whatever, oblige.
People sometimes get men in particular.
Noblesse oblige.
Yeah, something like that.
Sometimes people insist on paying for dinner, like when you're out for a restaurant, and they get really offended if anyone even suggests that they pay for their own part. Particularly men have this habit of, they really take it personally that they insist on paying for everyone's dinner. I've never quite understood that, why you would, take it so personally. Yeah.
It's a sign. It's social posturing. It's posturing. It's a sign of status, right?
I'm gonna take care of you, little ladies. It sucks to be you.
Not just women. And my dad and because my parents used to go out, once a month with this other couple, right? And they would go someplace nice, and they would buy dinner, and then my dad and Johnny would spend about 10 minutes arguing over which one of them has the check. Oh, no, it was your turn last time. This time it's my turn. No, you're remembering wrong. I totally, you totally paid last time. It's my turn, blah, 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 right? And they will argue and argue and argue over this. And finally, one of them ends up having to give up. And then they go out for drinks afterward, and the whole time the guy who paid ribs the other guy over what a cheap bastard he is, right? That he didn't pay.
It's right? Basically, I think it's just basically him saying, yeah, I'm the adult in the room, you're the children. I'm the adult. I'm the one who's providing for you guys because you're incapable. And he's enjoying that. He's really, really, really enjoying that.
Well, because it's a way of males gaining status, and particularly among other males, is to be able to say, I'm financially successful, I'm so successful I can be this generous. It's the product of a gift culture.
Do people realize what's going on here? They are establishing a hierarchy of agency with him on top, and them basically under his feet, being his bitch.
Yeah, they've gone right back to the start. This whole thing happened in the first place because men pay for women's shit, so women essentially have men's disposable income, so they use it to buy more shit for themselves, which happens to feminine stuff. And here we are at him completing the cycle.
Yeah, it's like it's shaped like itself. The peasant has said, and there is a certain egotism in being the agentive class that does everything, and then supports the non-agentive class. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna supplement your income, ladies, and then when you act like your income is supplemented, I'm gonna use that to justify supplementing your income more. Oh, fucking hilarious, Art.
That gets me points. Just pretend I said it.
Yeah, I've now decided I'm gonna let everything grow out.
Yes.
Stop wearing makeup. I'm just gonna be all like jungle.
But even if you did that, you still go to an Abercrombie and buy a T-shirt.
I won't.
I won't either.
I'm not.
Here's in that category.
You don't have to shop at Abercrombie. There is such a thing as a thrift store, or Mark's Work Warehouse, or any other place that are considerably cheaper. Like, seriously, did you have to go to Abercrombie and Finch to make your point? Because it's a shitty point. Particularly because you used Abercrombie and Finch to make it. Am I being heard? Because I can't hear you guys.
Yeah. No, I can hear you. I'm just not jumping in because I was making a bunch of noise.
The only example I could
you're
think
echoing
of
too.
was the Gap, because it's the only one I could remember the Americans have heard of.
Well, Mark's, I don't know if, Karen, you're going to have to mute yourself. Mark's Work Warehouse, it's got plenty of reasonable and practical clothing. You do not have to, you don't have to buy a shirt at Abercrombie and Finch. I know it may not be really understandable to you aristocrats, but you do not have to buy the most expensive shit.
Yeah, I would never, ever. I would never in a million.
Shop with us, plebes.
I would never in a million years pay $40 for a T-shirt or $30 for a T-shirt. A fitted T-shirt that, unless I was printing something custom on it, and then it's the printing. The printing actually costs more than the shirt, right? Because it's custom. And so essentially, you're looking at like so much of this bullshit, right, only plays out in the higher income brackets, right? It really is like things concerning the wage gap, right? Like, oh, and women are offered less starting pay for the same position. Blah. Well, yeah, not at Walmart they aren't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at Walmart, you're going to earn what the fucking table tells the manager to pay you.
You
right?
know what, lady? You don't even have to shop in the women's section of Abercrombie and Finch. You know what you can do? You can shop in the men's sections of Mark's Work Wearhouse.
Yeah,
and you
or
will be
Walmart.
perfectly. Your ass will have plenty of jeans, and your upper torso will have plenty of shirts, and they'll fit.
Evidently, the most expensive part of the shoe is the heel. So it's good if you never wear shoes with heels, which I don't, because I'm not a cavalryman. So, and if you're also not a professional horse fighter then you don't need heels in your shoes either. So, lucky for you, you can go ahead and buy the ones with no expensive bloody heels in them.
Well, I mean, there's the odd job that you can get as a woman where they actually have a dress code that says that you have to wear heels of a certain height. I think Joey Tomatoes has a dress code for women, at least in the lounge part. There's sort of a sports bar part that's sectioned off where you can wear jeans and a spaghetti strap tank top or something and flats, right? And sort of look casual, sexy. But in the main part of the restaurant, all of the women are wearing little black dresses with high heels, right? All of the waitresses, all of the servers. But there are no male servers there. There's male bartenders there, but there are no male servers there. And they go for this specific look. And I'm sorry, but if you don't want to wear high heels and you don't want to wear a little black dress, if you'd rather wear trousers or a T-shirt or something, right? Don't work at fucking Joey Tomatoes. Just don't.
There'll probably be places that would be very happy to take you because you're not sexing yourself up. Okay.
Yeah. I beg to differ. Because I've been into the Forever 21 store where things cost $2 for
only
a
because
gown.
of sweatshops, though, but go ahead.
So I think sweatshops, this is the redeeming value of them.
Oh, yeah.
Is that they make women's lives cheaper. And I like women more than I like children.
Actually, that is kind of a good. That's a kind of a good snide comment. Because most of these.
Is he on their side?
No, I think he is, sort of, but at the same time, he's like.
And do they honestly think Abercrombie and Finch doesn't use fucking child labor?
Yeah, I know. They all do. Like pretty much every fucking store is, that has a line of merchandise it's going to be made. The garment itself is going to be made in a place like is on the screen here, and
for those of you who can see the young lady on the screen, this is not what a feminist looks like.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's probably a 13 or 14-year-old girl who's working long hours at a sewing.
Making those really careful seams that women absolutely need.
She's putting the pockets in, looks like.
Now, I just wonder about this. I mean, if we all went to straight-cut jeans, which probably are more likely to be able to be sewed by a machine, would we not have slave labor? Or not slave labor, but sweatshops.
You're not going to be able to have any garment that you're looking at probably another 30 years of technological development before an automated system would be able to construct a garment from start to finish without.
The women. The upshot of all of this is that women want to be able to work her harder and pay her less.
Yes.
Because they want to have the same kind of garment, the same price point as a man. But this young lady will have to work harder to create that garment and get paid less.
Yep.
Yay, feminism!
Especially children in other countries.
Children in other countries, never met them. Don't care. You've been to Bangladesh. I have not.
True.
But how do we create change? Because the lady that was in charge of the New York City Department of Consumer Affairs, she said that she was hoping that the study would be a real eye opener, and that it was.
This came out of like is this a government institution? Is this more shit from the fucking? Oh my god.
Or government funded. And there have been multiple other government funded studies that have looked at this particular issue of gendered pricing, but they refuse to actually. It really is sort of like the Obama's. It's a travesty. Women only earn 77 cents on a man's dollar for the same work bullshit, right? It doesn't look into so many of the factors that actually contribute to the pricing of items. And one of those factors is going to be women's willingness and ability to pay more for things, right? You have to actually take, it's not just the price of, because you have different margins of profit, right, in different companies. So you can have a company that uses, like a restaurant, sort of the general rule is 30% food cost, 30% labor cost, 30% overhead, 10% profit, right? Which is why restaurants so frequently fail in the first 2 years, because that 10% margin is just not enough to get you over the initial investment, right? But particularly if you're actually successful, ironically, and I could explain that at some point too. But what you actually have is you have different companies actually drawing a different profit margin, right? So Abercrombie and Fitch, right? They're paying the same money for the shirts that were made in the sweatshop in Mauritius, right? As Walmart is. They're paying the exact same money. They're stamping Abercrombie and Fitch on it, and they're selling it for 15, 20, 100 times the profit, right? It's not really that more of a high quality garment. It's slightly higher, right? But it's not higher enough to justify the difference in price between that $8 shirt at Walmart and the $40 shirt at Abercrombie and Fitch. That entire difference in price is just profit. It's just profit based on name recognition, based on this woman's idea of what social value she will be able to get out of having that logo across her tits, right?
What's amazing to me,
compared to a shirt that doesn't have a logo, or a shirt that has Fruit of the Loom on it, right?
What's amazing to me about all this is that this woman is the one who's driving all of this. She is the one who's creating this entire situation. If she decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay a premium for a fair trade T-shirt that doesn't use sweatshop labor, and has fair labor practices. You know what would happen if women, the biggest consumer group in the world, U.S. women, start saying, oh, hey, you know what? An Abercrombie and Fitch logo isn't as important to me as fair trade and ethical labor practices and a reasonable living wage. You know what would happen, lady? Do you know what would happen?
Yeah.
You could significant social change, positive for that young woman you'd showed.
Voluntary on everybody's part. Voluntary on everyone's part, including the company, including the people who run the sweatshops, including everybody. Would not have to be coercive, would not require policy changes on the part of government, would not require legislation, right? You as a consumer, right? As you women as a consumer bloc, you could actually say to a company like Abercrombie and Fitch, we're only going to buy clothes from your store if you can show us that they are ethically made by people who are paid a living wage, right? And then Abercrombie and Fitch would go, oh, there's such a demand for this, right?
Well, the whole market would, really. That's just one example.
Yeah.
but you consider the logo and your own social position that it reflects to be more important than fair trade. That's where you're sitting. And the funny thing is you excuse all of this by making yourself into a victim. You have such power and you squander it.
The truth is, there are lots and lots of people who buy sweatshop merchandise at Walmart because they can't afford anything better. Even people in North America, they just can't fucking afford to go in and pay $40 for a fucking t-shirt. It's why I don't buy organic produce. I can't afford the extra cost. This is just the way it is, right? So it's people like her sitting here in her $100 fucking sweater, right, with her $180 manicure and her, probably $75 worth of cosmetics on her face and her $180 fucking hairstyle, right? She's the one who's going to have to fucking do something about this.
She's the prime mover in all of this.
Yeah.
If she wanted, if she and all of the women represented wanted simpler clothes that were cheaper or products that weren't quite as premium, they would have, and they have access to that already. I don't even know what the problem is here. You have access to cheaper products. You don't have to buy the expensive products. It's not necessary, but you choose to. She cannot own her own choices. Why? What is wrong? What is in that brain that doesn't allow her to own her choices and recognize that she's not a victim? She's just making choices.
Moral patience.
Yeah, she just, and how does that affect her entire life to embrace this bullshit? I stare into the abyss, and then I say, let's do some more.
And encourage the consumer to be aware of what they're purchasing, as well as the retailer and the manufacturer to create change, but at the same
create change, which is basically cheaper premium products. Where's the cheapness going to come down the supply chain? I mean, yes, some of those products were just more expensive because they're logos. They still that still is added expense in terms of design. But some of those products were actually definitely more expensive innately, like having special absorbent gels instead of just bulky cotton or whatever they had in the men's diaper or whatever. So how are we going to equalize these payments? Are you going to just charge men more for less goods? Like, that doesn't even make any sense, because you also could buy those goods. So you're just going to be screwing yourself because you won't be able to buy the cheaper option anymore. Are you saying that we make women's items cheaper? Who pays for that? I mean, if you're going to make women's items cheaper, who ultimately has to pay for that?
Well, and then what use is that Abercrombie and Fitch logo if the T-shirts are cheap?
Yeah.
Why would you even buy it? You're buying it for the illusion of
status,
exclusivity, right? You're buying a shirt essentially that announces, I paid a fuck ton for this shirt. That's the only reason you're doing it.
Okay, we gotta either get motor through this, or I gotta go get a cord to plug my computer in, because the juice is being sucked.
All right, let's move.
They know what they're doing. They don't just blindly
Obviously.
think, oh, I'm going to charge women more. They have analytics. They have all these things, these different studies that they do that show that women will pay more.
Exactly, and also because women buy more than men do comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
We make up the lion's share of the consumers out there. Like,
oh my god,
the fuck are you? What?
So literally. Like, they've got these two ideas in their head, right? But are they going to put them together? Right?
Given that they came in with the first one, I'd say probably not. If you came in with that second one there, the whole first one would have been obsolete. I'm guessing this whole thing is for the sake of making the second one obsolete there.
I don't know.
Are the consumers, and you have all of the choices. So unless you're expecting someone along down the supply chain to take a pay cut, and I guarantee it's not going to be the corporations giving you your premium goods. It's going to be the people creating it. What is your solution? And you've just said you are the primary consumers. Yes, because you have both options. You have a premium option and you have a unisex option. And you buy more of it.
Well, and yeah, no. So
I gotta go really quick, so I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. Go ahead, Karen. Take the train out of the station.
All right, they're literally saying that that it's unfair that it costs so much more to be a woman, right? That's what the whole first half of the video is about. Now they're actually attaching reality to that argument, which is that women will pay more. The focus groups and all of the market research suggests that women will pay more for similar products than men will, and that women are the primary consumers. Women purchase more stuff than men do, right? So, are these ladies suggesting that companies should just kind of say, well, we could make more of a profit for our shareholders, right? But, that would be unfair. And so we'll make less profit than we might, right? And even if it loses us capital investment, even if it loses us shareholders, and even if it loses value, in terms
all
of our company,
to give the biggest consumer group on the entire planet more consumer power.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need any fucking more. You're already on top, ladies. You're already the biggest consumer group on the planet. Why do you need more consumer power? Oh, what am I saying? Fuck. Sorry,
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
All right.
We are the ones buying for the family. We're the ones buying for ourselves. Whereas men, single guys like, or they'll go home for Christmas with a hug.
I've worn the same underpants for the last 3 years.
Wow.
Same pair.
Good.
That's what that smell is.
Oh, my God. They're taking advantage of the fact that they know that women are the ones purchasing, that women are the ones that...
They're not taking advantage of that fact. That is a power you have.
They are taking advantage of it. They're just not taking unfair advantage of it.
Yeah, you're right. This is like, how can you make yourself a victim of the fact that people cater to you? Like, this is the most asinine thing. This woman must be very difficult to live with. You're very difficult to live with, I can tell.
Oh, you can just tell if she's arguing with her boyfriend. The goalposts are constantly moving.
Yeah, but how can you possibly make being catered to? How can you make that into fucking victimhood? I'm being catered to as the biggest consumer demographic on the planet. That makes me a victim. They're taking advantage by giving me what I want. There must be, like, one day, please let this be a mental illness. Be considered a mental illness. All right. Mike, you haven't piped up for a while.
Either please let this be a mental illness, or please let all this be a dream in my head, or in one of your heads. One of you is dreaming all of this and has been all along, and we're just tertiary characters in it, or something.
Oh.
That will purchase more or pay more for a product.
Supply.
Okay, just a second. Let's see what the person who's probably very difficult to live with said.
Women are the ones that will purchase more or pay more for a product.
Yes, because you have more spending power. You just said you are the largest consumer group. What do you think happens?
Well, and not just that they have more spending power. They're less likely to be the ones that have to earn that money.
Yeah, but what happens when you are the largest spending group on the planet? People give you more options because you will spend the money on them.
But I also want to draw attention to this one thing, right? Because I was in the store with my son, my 13-year-old, and he saw these sort of nostalgic, limited edition 6-packs of Coca-Cola in little bottles, right? Little glass bottles. And they were like ungodly fucking expensive. And he was like, "Oh, that's so cool. We should get some." And I'm like, I'm not paying fucking $9 for, essentially 2.5 cans of Coke, right? Okay. And he's like, "But they're so cool." And I'm like, "Okay, one day, son, one day you're going to have to go out and earn your own money and pay your own bills, right? And you're going to think that $12 an hour, that's a lot of money, right? Oh my God, I would only have to work not even an hour to buy this fucking 6-pack of Coke." Yeah, no, except for that all of your necessary shit, right, has to come out of that hourly wage first. And by the time you've paid for all the necessary shit, the rent and the electricity and the fucking cable and the internet and the phone and all of that stuff and all of your taxes, okay, you will be essentially making $1 an hour. $1 an hour. You're getting paid 12, but you're only earning 1, right? And so you would have to work 9 fucking hours to pay for this 6-pack of Coke, right? Okay, you'd have to work 7 hours longer than if you bought it in cans, right? Is it worth it now, son? Right? Because that is what people who actually have to fucking earn the money live with every day. Is that calculation, right?
Yeah,
and
that Abercrombie.
And the people whose lives are fucking subsidized by assholes like on this panel, who's like, oh, you know, the paying for dinner is the least we can do to help you ladies out, right? Okay, yeah. You know, if these women had to pay their entire fucking way through the sweat of their fucking brow, through money that they honestly earned on a fucking paycheck, and then purchased everything for themselves, they wouldn't be spending the way they do. They wouldn't be paying more than they had to. Because I can tell you, as somebody who spent fucking 15 years of marriage living under the poverty line with 5 fucking children, 3 of whom we supported full-time, 2 of whom we paid child support on, okay? I can fucking tell you that when you're scrounging around in the fucking couch cushions, right, for money for groceries, and you're standing there at the dairy counter and you're looking and you're like, oh my God, do I buy milk or do I buy juice? Because I can't afford both. You know what? You're not thinking, oh, $7 for a liter of Tropicana. That sounds reasonable.
Well, you're certainly not going to Abercrombie and Finch and thinking, wow, I would only have to work 77% of what a man would have to work to buy this.
Fucking hell. I like this just fucking and this is really it, right? Because all of these issues, right? All of these fucking problems, they are not a concern for the people who are actually down at the bottom, right? The people who are fucking serving up coffee and donuts at Tim Hortons, they're all getting paid the same, right? Because there's a fucking data table saying, okay, this person does this job, they get paid this much money, right? And then when they get, you know, they finish their first 3 months and they get a positive review, they get a 25-cent an hour raise.
Negotiating your wage is a privilege of the upper class.
Yeah.
The fact that women do not exploit this privilege is not on men.
No, and I don't fucking care because it's a privilege of the fucking upper class. And you know what? I don't particularly care that a woman in that job only earns $130,000 while a man earns $137,000 while I'm raising a family of 5 on less than $30,000 a year. Okay? I'm not really that fucking concerned about it. You know, and if I'm working part-time and my husband is working full-time and my husband's female coworkers are working part-time and their husbands are working full-time, I might even be okay with the man earning more per hour.
All right.
Supply, demand.
I think the important thing is that consumers are aware. And then don't buy into things that are quote-unquote...
I just can't believe this.
No.
They're saying, like, Karen, let me get this the fuck out. I'm sorry, I'm going to ram this through. They are saying that consumers need to be aware that the largest consumer body on Earth needs to have more consumer power. This is what they choose to bring awareness to. And then they mock the idea of caring about sweatshop labor in order to do the very, very crucial task of giving the group of people, American women, who already control the largest amount of spending on the planet, give them more power.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's what she's saying. Go back a few seconds.
Aware. And then don't buy into things that are quote-unquote stereotypically female men.
Agreed.
Don't spend the extra.
She's actually giving practical advice. She's like, be aware that this is what's going on. Be aware that they're charging you a premium, just
for feeling feminine.
Labeling, and be aware of, and don't necessarily buy into it. Maybe you should go into the men's section and buy the men's fucking Lubriderm for $1 less than the freaking women's Lubriderm, right? Lotion, moisturizer, right?
But it might not work as well. That's the other.
No, I buy the men's, and it works just fine, right? And so essentially, there are some products that charge a premium simply because women will pay more. That is just a reality, right? Women will pay more.
What are they paying for? They're paying for feeling feminine.
Yes, and so don't buy into it, right? Because nobody's gonna see you fucking.
Yeah, don't buy into wanting to feel feminine.
Don't buy into the whole idea of that anybody is gonna care what color the razor was that you shaved your legs with in the shower, right? Nobody's gonna notice if you used a blue razor or a pink razor. Nobody's gonna fucking know, right? Your legs are gonna be nice and smooth, and off you go, right? And you can still feel feminine even if it wasn't a product, a razor, that was targeted specifically to make you feel girly, right?
Yeah, but recognize that being made to feel girly is another aspect of a premium product.
Yes, well, of course it is. It's obviously a marketable commodity.
Yeah, you're buying.
Can you think of a product that's designed to make men feel manly at all? Oh, hey, GTA, shitload more expensive than Farmville. Does that mean white males are being oppressed because they're getting?
Yeah,
let me just put it this way: given all the fucking penis enlargement shit that lands in my fucking spam box, okay, ads, right? Click here for good deal. Your penis.
Yeah, we've all experienced them, Karen.
Yeah, but you have all kinds of marketing targeted towards men to make them feel more manly, right? Even just things like fucking tickets to go see a hockey game or something like that, right? The actual experience of a hockey game is objectively better, right? In front of a TV with an announcer and with cameras, right? Cameras following the puck, cameras, showing replays and all of that, right? And slow motion and all of that stuff, right? The experience itself, from an objective standpoint, is better to watch it on TV at home. But there is something primal about being in the audience that really appeals to men, and it appeals to men more than women, because every time I've ever been to a fucking hockey game and there were women around, all they did was spend all of their time fucking gossiping about shit and not paying attention to the game. They are not there for the game. The men are there for the game, right? For the most part, right? And of course, the tickets were $120 for these two women to sit around and drink fucking cappuccinos and gossip, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I like Mike's point because it's really concise. The gaming experience, men have to pay premium for a more masculine gaming experience than women. Why aren't we talking about the Farmville gap? What about the Bejeweled gap? I think it's called Bejeweled. What about why should men have to pay so much more for games than women?
Well, because those games
are victims in both scenarios.
The games are different, right? And they are, and there's more work that goes into the AAA games, particularly.
Balderdash! It is actual sexism against men to force them to pay more for the games that they like. I can't believe it. I think that we should make this a plank in the men's rights platform.
Are we gonna make women pay more for Farmville, or are we gonna make men pay less for Grand Theft Auto?
Well, obviously,
sarcasm when we say balderdash. That's a safe word that means we're being sarcastic.
No, I'm being serious. No, I'm being sarcastic. Why do we have to say that? No, I know why.
It's because these people think this way, and then when we turn it around and we try to show how ridiculous it is for them to be thinking this way, people take us seriously. There are literally still fucking supposedly intelligent, educated human beings out there in the world who believe that meninism is a real thing. It's an actual form of
you're being trolled, idiots. But it's like, yeah, no, we don't actually. But this is all comes down to this. If we were reversing this, gender reversing this, we would be arguing. And this is why, men's rights activists not really where feminists are yet. Well, maybe in a grand future where men are wearing short shorts and cleavage-enhancing tank tops, that in that rare future, men's rights activism will be comparable to feminism. But the fact is, no men's rights activist on the planet is going to argue that men are being discriminated against because their games cost more than women's games. But this is the argument that these people are making. This is the argument that they are making. Except I guess you could say that games are an entertainment thing.
Well, yeah, but clothes,
are also
clothes that these women are wearing and the kinds of stuff that they're wearing, those are luxury items, right?
Yeah, they're luxury items.
Dress nice all the time. I mean, it isn't even a matter of professionalism, because yes, there is a professional uniform for men that is often very expensive, right? The suit and tie and all of that, and there is a professional uniform for women that can be quite pricey, right? But look at how he's dressed, right? Obviously, is pretty casual on this set, right? These women don't have to be wearing all of this fucking jewelry. They don't have to be wearing super nice clothes, right? They don't have to have their hair, even Anna Kasparian, and I'm going to give her some props for this, right? Because she does wear a lot of fucking makeup all the time. But half the time, she just has her hair tied back, right? And it's because, I'm guessing, it's because she just doesn't want to fucking deal with it. And it's cheaper and less time consuming to just fucking put it back in a ponytail, right? That's just how, if you want to have your hair long and you don't want to have to spend a lot of time on it, ponytail's the way to go, right? And yet these women are dressed in a specific way, and this guy is dressed like he could fucking tinker under the hood of a car at any moment. And it's all fine, right? Apparently this is appropriate dress for this particular show, and and the women take things overboard.
I'm sure that if they came in with comparable clothes to him, no one would have a problem with it. I really highly doubt.
The shirt might be pink, the jeans might be a little more fitted, like they'd be ladies' jeans, and the sneakers, I don't know, I guess
whatever.
Nikes,
like
right?
Pullovers. Let's we're in the home stretch here, buds.
Extra $20 and buy the pink scooter, because if it does the same friggin' thing as the red scooter, why are you even helping your young daughter think that she needs to have a pink this or
Good. Yes. Return the power to the people who actually have the power, or the perception of power to the people who actually have it.
Exactly.
Buy the red scooter.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking that after all of the stuff that was making my head explode earlier, we're actually coming around to
something at least reasonable.
It's reasonable. It's practical.
I just realized
it empowers people. It empowers people rather than making them feel like victims. It helps them be aware of their own choices and their own agency.
Okay, I just want to point something out. I think this is on the Young Turks network.
Okay, like.
Okay, all right. Let's continue.
Whatever.
Exactly.
The red scooter works great, and you are just as badass as your brother. So go forth and have fun on both of your red scooters.
A to the men.
Why is it you're just as badass as your brother? How about you're just as badass as your sister?
Well, no, I think it's essentially, okay, if you're going to convince your daughter, right, that she can't have the pink one, she's got her heart set on it, she can't have the pink one, she has to have the same red one as her brother, to sort of sweeten that pill with
a
dull something, right?
All right, last 18 seconds. Let's see what the other one has to say.
Shauna Malcolm, A to the men. Okay.
And the women, you sexist.
Why do people consume this drivel in such large quantities? That's just something I'll never understand.
I don't know. They actually worked their way around to a reasonable point, though.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the content is fine. It's just that the smarmy personalities is just sort of, it's aggravating the fuck out of me.
I don't know. I'm much less aggravated now. I am much less aggravated now.
Yeah.
That they actually work their way around all on their own to a rational freaking point, and not just a rational point, but a course of action people can take in order to.
I still think it's trivial relative to other issues, but okay, you're right.
To
They
deal
work their way around.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is trivial, right? But it's also, like putting the power back into somebody's hands, saying, okay, you're being taken for a ride when you're paying this much money for this particular product, right?
Products don't make you feminine.
Yeah, to make you feel feminine. This is just companies are making like tons of cash on you, that you're obviously willing to shell out for a product that is really discernibly not much different from the other one. It's just marketed differently, or it's shaped a little different, or whatever, right? Like I can understand. I can understand wanting clothes to fit properly. Having big boobs and all of that, right? I don't wear men's t-shirts. I have never, since I was like young, worn men's t-shirts, because in order to get one that actually fits across my bust, the whole thing fits me like a fucking moo-moo, and I essentially look pregnant all the time, right? So, I mean, I see the appeal of having fitted clothes, clothes tailored for your shape. I get that, right? That doesn't mean that I'm going to complain if they cost a little more, because having sewn clothes for my kids for like 6-7 years, right? I understand what goes into making a garment. And I understand that making certain types of clothes that are fitted just takes more time and energy and effort than making clothes that are like essentially like a tent or a muumuu, right?
Okay, one thing that I do disagree with this conclusion is that there's still an element that they're implying that women are being taken for a ride because they're getting, the same product for the same price, which isn't true. Women are not being taken for a ride. They are getting, in at least a few of these instances, premium products for a higher price. So there's no victimhood here. If you don't want to pay it, just buy the non-premium product. You don't want to pay for a Porsche, buy a goddamn Kia.
I bought a Kia.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to buy the premium. It's not necessary. Even if it does say for women. Because nobody's going to complain or even notice if you buy the unisex, which rarely does say for men. That you're actually comparing the female version for the unisex version. But, they often put the unisex version on men. But
frequently, like even if it is categorized as the men's version, like something like that scooter, it wasn't the girl's scooter was labeled a girl's scooter. The other one was just labeled a scooter. It's a unisex scooter. It's like by definition, by its own description, a unisex scooter.
Okay, let's let's do the last 9 or 11 seconds, and then we'll get Mike in.
Please let us know what you think in the comment section
No,
below.
we don't want to let you know. We're letting you know in this particular video. I hope people don't consider me cherry picking by closing this off and going back to. Oh, for God's sake! That's the 3rd time.
What is your
compressor? Ironically, it's not very loud to us because the compressor's going through the compressor.
No, but it is hugely loud to me, so that's why I sound like I'm screaming now.
Yeah, I tried to sleep through it a couple of times.
You tried? Oh, really?
If you don't know what's going to happen, it's like the door of hell opening, and like, what is this place about to explode?
Is your husband
I'm so sorry, Mike. I didn't even realize.
Like some fucking power washing of siding, or like fixing shingles with a fucking nail gun, or like what is your compressor for, number one, and why does it turn on?
Well, today it's turned on 3 times because my husband created a window box to put on the window, because we haven't actually done that yet for that particular window. And Brian is arriving on Saturday, so he wanted to do a whole bunch of renovation stuff, so he renovated the bathroom and the window box. And I think that the compressor has turned on now 3 times because he was using the nail gun, it's an air nailer.
When you come and visit me next time, bring your nail gun and your compressor, and then.
Karen, that's not going to be possible.
No, you can totally do it. Just lift it up on the roof of your car.
Do you fucking realize how this compressor would not fit? Not only, okay, it might fit on the roof of the car, but then the car would be flat. This is a freaking, like, this is not a compressor that travels.
This just sounds like empty excuse making. Okay.
No, it's not empty.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
need to see this
like an
goddamn
amplifier at a
compressor?
rock gig. It's like an enormous thing.
You know what? Look,
I think
it's an enormous. It sits. It lurks in the corner.
It's okay. It's okay, Alison. I was just bugging you.
It lurks. I mean, we might have a smaller compressor that we could bring with our nail gun, but this one, no, it's not going to happen.
What do you want the nail gun for? I don't want to skip this over. What do you want the nail gun for exactly?
For nailing things, Mike, I would love a nail gun. I would kill.
Nail guns are a lot of fun.
For a fucking nail gun. I have so many fucking pieces of quarter round. I ripped out all the quarter round molding on the baseboards when I did the flooring in here, and I have not replaced I have to buy new quarter round and I have to install it, and that is going to require about 800 fucking million nails. And if I had a nail gun, I could do it in 1/10 the fucking time than if I used a hammer and a nail set, okay? Because it just fucking drives the nails in, it countersinks them, right? You don't have to hammer them in until they're almost all the way, and then get your nail set out and go tap 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 and sink them in. You can just fucking. That's why
Maybe you can nail the tree down. Maybe this is one of those trees that doesn't work with a chainsaw. It works with a nail gun. It's one of those weird point and click adventures that doesn't make sense.
Jonathan's in the chat.
I would love a nail gun. Who's in the chat?
Jonathan, my husband's in the chat. He's explaining it's an industrial compressor. Yeah, it's not gonna. We can't put that compressor on.
It's all good, Jonathan. I was just joking. I was just fucking with you.
Yeah, he's a little literal, so he's a little literal. He probably feels bad that he can't do it now.
It's all good. I don't want to. I'm not looking forward to doing the job anyway, so I'm gonna probably procrastinate for another year.
Yeah, well, he was really concerned about the bathroom being up to snuff for when Brian came over. Very concerned about it.
Yeah, my bathroom, I still don't have a bathtub upstairs, so.
Yeah.
Well, I have a bathtub, but I don't have a usable bathtub, so.
Yeah.
I do have a toilet and a sink.
He says hello in chat. Oh, you're adorable.
and I have the beginnings of a medicine cabinet.
Yes. Well, he actually did a really good job with the bathroom. Like it's really nice looking. It's just a tub though. We decided not to go with a shower as well because it would be a hell of a lot more work, but it just looks really nice.
You know, I actually managed to find a really cool bathroom like bathtub faucet with the attachment for a handheld shower, you know, with a hose, on the actual faucet. So it wasn't like I was going to go out and buy these really nice, cool fucking taps, right? And then a really cool faucet that doesn't have that, and then I'd have to switch it out for like some fucking trailer park generic, $5 fucking faucet, right? That just because it has that little attachment thing, right, that you can actually, attach the shower hose to it. I actually managed to find, and it's discontinued now, right, a really cool looking set of bathroom taps / faucet with a handheld shower that you mount on the wall with the hose going on the outside, so I didn't have to rip out the whole fucking wall and have a plumber come in and put an adapter in behind the wall and run the frickin' shower stuff up behind the wall and all of that. So I'm really happy about that because then now I'm going to eventually have not just a bath but a shower upstairs. So that's going to be a massive improvement.
Awesome. And in our case, he did it really like he did like I don't know, sort of like a platform that's all aqua boarded with paint, and it just looks really sharp. So I didn't ask him to do it, but I appreciate the effect now.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like the things that you can actually do cosmetically for a room are actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks really nice now.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if there's much more to say. We've discussed our adventures in renovations, and people have said, this needs to turn into some sort of sexual concept. I'm
Yeah.
okay. Meh.
No,
Uh,
if you guys want sex, if you're that dirty, you'll just have to wait until my
oh.
Sanders fucking erotica.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we made our goal. Now I'm just gonna, we got to keep it. Well, now you guys have to keep month to month. So,
Yeah.
I,
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
and
know.
I have to actually get writing. I've been
Yes, you
trying.
have to write. But I have been analyzing Bernie, and you're right. He's really hard to read, like what he would
Yeah.
do.
I can't I
Trump,
can't I can't
Trump's a
see
pretty
him as
flamboyant power top or bottom.
I can't see Bernie as the top. I just can't.
Well,
But
you could see him as maybe a dominant, like you could see Trump as a dominant bottom, like a power bottom.
yeah, but not to Bernie. I couldn't see Trump
Yeah, but
bottoming, even topping from the bottom to Bernie.
Bernie's, conversely, a reluctant top, a bit like the codger. Yeah, just imagine Bernie's the codger. They're much the same personality.
yeah. Well, a reluctant top, like he would be. So you're imagining that Trump would be just dominant all the way.
No, no. I'm imagining that Trump would be covertly dominant and
Okay,
subtly
covertly.
dominant. This is not going to be. I mean, like you do.
Bernie seems like a very straight and narrow type, like just like straightforward.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh fuck, this did end up turning into sex talk.
Just imagine that sort of scenario that's so common in lesbian fiction, where you have sort of the more experienced older woman seducing the young innocent flower.
Well,
Um,
wouldn't Bernie be the older guy?
no, well, Bernie would be the less experienced in this particular scenario, and because
Are
I'm
you now
almost
alleging
positive
that Trump
Trump
is
is.
more experienced with like men?
No, but I'm positive Trump's gotten laid more than Bernie. I'm sorry, I just am. For some reason,
Okay.
call me crazy.
Bernie also seems like I said, he seems very straightforward, sort of down to business type, at least from what I saw.
Um, kinda.
Kinda? All
Well,
right.
he's like your crazy grandfather who just fucking says shit, and
Bernie?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, he is. Like none of the stuff that
I
he
have to admit that
none of the stuff he says is shocking, right? None of the stuff he says is shocking, but it's all fucking crazy. Okay? Now, the stuff Trump says is sometimes crazy, but mostly it's just shocking.
Okay, all right. But I'm just trying to think because you're right. It's easier to get a bead on Trump, and Trump actually seems more sexual.
Trump's
Whereas,
more sexual and he's all about frame and he's hyper masculine, right?
yeah,
Absolutely fucking hyper masculine.
but Bernie
That's
isn't like
why
not
he's
necessarily. I
that's why
don't find.
Milo calls him daddy.
Sorry?
That's why Milo calls Trump daddy.
Okay, but I don't necessarily see Bernie as not being masculine. That's the thing.
Well, he doesn't maintain frame.
Okay, fair enough. You probably understand the nuances of all of this more than I do.
Well, when someone runs on stage to take over the mic from him, he stands back and goes, "Oh shit, I think I'd better let you." Of course, he's the submissive.
Yeah, did you see Trump boot that fucking guy from Telemundo or Univision or whatever? The Mexican station, right? The Spanish language station in the States. He's at a fucking giving a press conference, and this reporter just stands up, hasn't been called on, just stands up and starts demanding answers. And Trump's like, I didn't fucking call on you. I called on this guy. Like, no, take your seat. And then he eventually was just like, okay, get him out, right? And the guy was escorted out. Like, he was just like, no, you're not in charge here, asshole, right? I chose I pointed at someone else. I didn't fucking point at you, right? You're not going to keep talking, right? Get out, right? He wouldn't get out. Okay, remove him, right? That's how Trump handles that. When somebody tries to take over a situation, right? You look at Bernie and he's like, oh yeah, we're going to let you speak, and then they just continue to scream at him. Like, no. And
All right.
arranges to give
We
them.
don't want to give too many spoilers.
But it's much like how parenting works. Trump's an asshole, but his supporters is surprisingly nice. Whereas Bernie is a socialist, but his supporters are rabid fucking fascists, shall we say.
Because the leadership, right? The type of leadership that Trump shows is kind of like, yeah, no, Dad's home, right? You guys didn't get into any fucking trouble today, did you? Right? And the leadership that style that Bernie uses is, I can't control you. I can't put my foot down. Yeah, just walk all over me and everybody else. Right? That's the type of father that Bernie is with his supporters. Is, oi, these kids, and he just pulls his hair out and he just lets them run wild. Oh, what can you do?
Yeah. All right. I think I'm gonna call it, because you got to keep a little mystery there, Karen.
Oh yeah, no, I still don't know exactly even how far I'm gonna go. So.
Yeah, we got to keep a little mystery, and don't forget you have to read it too.
That's a big thing, and also another thing is, like, I can't necessarily I can't draw these two characters as like hunky 35-year-old.
Well, you know what? The thing is that's going to be up to the artist. That's going to be up to the artist. If we get Frost or Corvus to do it, they may end up being far more attractive than they actually are.
Yeah, but when I'm writing it, I'm still going to be thinking of Trump and Bernie, and frankly...
Yeah, it's going to be a lemon party for sure.
Or you could write as a lemon party. You'll write a lemon party.
Yeah, that's the. But yeah, so let's you know what? I highly doubt that people got us up to this next milestone for the Trump and Bernie. But I'll throw it out to the chat. Did you guys really, really want us to write the Trump Bernie stuff? And we're also going to do like a much more aesthetically pleasing interlude between Karen and Badger Chan. I'll probably write that one. And was that why you donated? You really wanted to see Trump and Bernie getting on in the lemon party? Yes, no? They haven't said anything.
Well, there's a little bit of a delay. They'll chime in a minute, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They may not participate at all because they're sort of ornery that way.
Yeah, well, whenever you ask them to do something, they just do the opposite.
Yeah.
Just like a Bernie supporter.
People
try and put our foot down, and then they just like steal the mic and.
Only if Bernie puts on a ball gag at some point. It's lemony fresh.
Oh my God!
I want a Mike and Brian erotica.
Oh, there won't be any. Oh.
That's just Jax. She wants. She's. Hi, Jax. You're incorrigible.
Well, maybe I'll do that for you one day, Jax. I'll write that. I don't know. I'd be a little bit uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah, it's a little too close to home.
Yeah, but people are wanting to write like me and you, Karen.
Well, anybody can go ahead and write that. I'm not gonna fucking write it.
Right. Well, I don't. It would be just too weird.
Yeah. No, it's just a little.
I mean, I couldn't write me and my husband in like a erotic fan fiction. It'd just be fucking bizarre.
No, anyway. I could, but it would probably come off more as comedy. So.
Yeah. Okay, like, but you know what?
My boyfriend, I mean.
So I'm going to give an update on the legal proceedings tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. So tune back in at that time. And if you're interested in supporting us, www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Every little bit helps, and we got plans. We got big plans. So yeah.